Good morning! So we did show you our last one more thing. Yeah, Tim, $3,500, but I mean the headset's got a lot of cool tech going for it, but I'm more interested in iOS 17 and how that's However, there is also one less thing. What do you mean, one less thing? What is this thing? The one less thing is our previous one more thing. Yeah, I'm blanking. What was that? The AirTags? We are dropping support today for one of our most innovative iPhones ever. No, you wouldn't. You couldn't. I'm sorry, Drew. We just really needed that neural engine. What, for nightstand mode? Oh, stand by. No, it was actually all of that voicemail transcripts. We just couldn't get it right on the A11 chip. Did just leave out that feature, but give them everything else. Drew, just change your wallpaper, honestly. It does the same thing. It does not have the same effect. Oh, you know what? It does look pretty clean, actually. So this year is a little bit more interesting because I am not rocking a fairly recent generation iPhone. This is an SE2, which is over 3 years old now, but thankfully, because it has the A13 chip, it is still able to run iOS 17. And while overall I don't find this a massive update, there are some quality of life things that they've changed that are minor, but I really appreciate. The biggest one being how AirDrop has been updated. So yeah, Apple introduced Name Drop, so you can have two devices kind of share contact information by tapping. I don't have another phone in the house with iOS 17, so I'm not going to be able to demo that for you, but in concept, it sounds nifty, it sounds cool. But for everyday AirDrop, that's something I use all the time for work. I'm constantly taking videos or screenshots on my phone and then sharing them to my MacBook. This is a really, really big one that I didn't see anyone else talk about, so I'm very grateful they added it. But essentially, if I'm AirDropping something from my Mac to my iPhone, no longer when the AirDrop is complete does it remove me from whatever app I was currently in and then jump into the Photos app. Now, similar to kind of like how Dynamic Island would work on a 14 Pro, you just get a little notification that shows a little bit of a progress bar, so it lets you stay in the app you're already in, and then when the AirDrop is complete, the notification goes away. So it's very buggy right now because, of course, this is developer beta 1. I'm sure it'll get ironed out as we get closer to the final release, but the fact that that's possible on a 4.7-inch display from an iPhone that's over 3 years ago, and now they finally got rid of that annoying, like, jump to the Photos app every time you AirDrop a photo. I had just kind of gotten accustomed to it because that's the way AirDrop has worked for so many years that I just figured, that's the way it is. I kind of just put up with it, but I didn't realize how annoying that was until they fixed it. Now that I have it and I realize I can keep editing my video thumbnails in the editing app and I don't have to jump to Photos every single time, now I can just open up the camera roll and the pictures that have been airdropped are already there. That is awesome. It's a little detail, doesn't get headlines, doesn't generate a lot of internet traffic, but it's really, really useful and I'm so grateful it's there. My next most favorite feature was the one you all know about, of course, which is Standby, but unfortunately on Dev Beta 1, this has been very, very buggy and unreliable for me. Yesterday, the day of the event, I installed the beta and I could not get it to activate at all. I would always put the phone charging on its side, and yes, you do get standby mode on the SE2, and it would not go off. All I would get was a little Apple Watch style charging animation in the top right corner, and there was a little bar like you could drag down on it, but it wouldn't react whenever I tried to drag down on it. This morning, when I was trying to show for the video how buggy it was, it actually activated. So I caught my real-time reaction basically. I was like, all right, let's show everybody how it works. So I put my phone on its side, it starts charging, and boom, the clock shows up, and I'm like, whoa! The calendar wasn't there right away, but I was still like, hey, it's actually working now. And I use my Apple Watch as a nightstand all the time, which is why I think Standby was such a good idea. But the caveat that a lot of people online are complaining about is the fact that if you don't have a 14 Pro with the always-on display, then it's only active for 20 seconds. And then after those 20 seconds, the display goes off. So in order to get the display to activate again, just like the Apple Watch, it's looking for any kind of motion. So if you just tap your nightstand a little bit, typically that's enough motion to get the display to activate. And some people don't like that the display is not always on. I guess the logic for a lot of people is, well, hey, it's got power, it's charging, so is it really going to hurt that much to just leave the display on at all times? Yeah, probably not. I guess the reason I don't mind it so much is because I prefer sleeping in like complete darkness. So even if I had a 14 Pro Pro with the always on display, I would prefer that the display still go all the way off, and that's just how I've gotten accustomed to using my Apple Watch. Is like, if I want to check the time, then I'll slap my nightstand and the watch screen will light up. And now with the iPhone, I can do the same thing. It's just on a slightly bigger screen, so it's easier to read. Still got some ironing out to do, but yes, it does work on your older iPhones, and if you don't have a 14 Pro, then it's just going to be for 20 seconds, which is a bummer, I guess, for some people that wanted it to just be permanently on. Although I do think there could be some risks of OLED burn-in on the newer iPhones if they did have the screen on at all times, but I feel like there's a way they could have gotten around that. Like if you just kind of slowly moved the time around, just barely enough so that people could even notice that it was moving, that would probably avoid burn-in, but what do I know? And when you first get iOS 17 and open up the phone app, they give you the option to customize like your calling page that shows up on other people's phones, assuming they have iOS 17. So again, this is kind of hard for me to test. But what's funny is I was trying to make it kind of hilarious and embarrassing on my own end, but after I saved it and said, yes, I want that to be my call screen, I have yet to figure out how to change it again. So I can't find the option for it in the calls app. I can't find it in settings. So I guess my embarrassing photo is just kind of permanently going to be in this phone unless Apple gives us an update that gives us more customization option. But yeah, messages is also much, much cleaner. That was, I guess, a lot of the attention Apple put into it this year, with a big emphasis on stickers, which are still buggy for me, but yeah, it is hilarious how big they can get. I don't know, I still feel like it's pretty gimmicky. Most people I know and interact with outside of the tech community tend to just stick with reactions, just like heart that one message, like that one message. Most of them are not like, let me put this like custom made sticker in the chat. You guys do that? In my social circles, no one's using the stickers, but there are reactions pretty commonly. But outside of that, yeah, I haven't really found all that much. I mean, interactive widgets, Apple tried to pitch it as it was an iPadOS 17 feature, when in reality, it applies to both iPadOS and iOS, but there's not really any third-party apps yet that are supporting interactive widgets at this time, so it's kind of hard for me to show you. So maybe I need to come back to this in a couple months when they add a few more of the features, like the journal app. I want to be able to write down my feelings, and I can't do it yet. Apparently that technology just doesn't exist yet. The idea of writing things down or accumulating photos and playlists and stuff. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for the journal app, but also there was a ton of rumors for the wallet app to be totally redesigned in iOS 17, and nope, I got the wallet app here, and pretty much nothing's changed. It's identical, so I guess that rumor was either way too early or just completely fabricated. It's just everything's the same. One tiny little detail that I haven't seen many other people mention is that in the Mail app, now it gives you a different status at the bottom for connecting versus checking versus updated just now, whereas before it just used to say checking for mail. So it gives you a little bit more detail than before in the Mail app. It's just a minor thing. And the icons for when you're editing a photo look a little bit more emboldened and just a little bit easier to read, which is nice. So it's just cool, in my opinion, that you could get like a $100 iPhone like this used from over 3 years ago and still be gaining a lot of features thanks to iOS 17 and Apple's software support. Not much else to report on my end, but what other features have you guys found in iOS 17, or are you looking for that you'd like me to talk about in the future? Feel free to drop those ideas down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. This is your Apple Shape here, and I will see you all in the next one.